Good afternoon, everybody. If you could please take your seats, that would be great. We've got some nice seats up here in front. We want to get started with Operation Snowflake this afternoon. Right here, we've got the right here. Yeah. Come on down. Come on down. Take a seat. We're ready to start. How about Bill Colburn? Hey, Bill Colburn. Bill Colburn. Mr. Colburn, there's a seat right up here for you. Mr. Moore, there's a seat right up here for you. Right there? Wonderful. Good morning. Operation Snowflake this afternoon in honor of our very own Kathy Leck. Come on, Kathy. Give a hand. So, get down like this. Kathy. It's a little joke between the two of us. So, Kathy, I know you don't... No, she doesn't. Unless she's in an elevator. Yes, I do know that. So, Kathy, I know you don't like to be the center of attention, but you're just going to have to suck it up today. Because we've got the entire staff is here to say thank you and to wish you well on not your retirement, but on leading full-time employment. Yeah, leading full-time employment. Okay, so Kathy is off on some adventures soon, but before we're going to let her out of here, we have a few surprises for her. And a special place for you to go sit.
A high chair. How about that?
Do you need a boost?
Just sit and take it in.
So Kathy, you are the center of attention today. So you're going to sit back and you're going to enjoy it. No. You'll have your time. Here it is. So, Larry Leck is here as well, so if you have not met Kathy's husband, he's here as well. So Kathy, you're the center of attention, as I said, and it's all about snowflakes and penguins and you. So you're going to enjoy the ride. So this is what we have planned for you today. Over the next hour or so, we're going to have cake and fruit. We've got elves who will be serving. So please enjoy a little refreshment. And you'll notice we got fruit because it needed to be healthy. We got cake for everybody else. We have some specific gifts for you, Kathy. So check out the cake. It's got penguins.
You have to see this cake. It's two penguins dancing. Kathy, wherever you go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Skiing down now.
And they're skiing down about. Okay, I'm losing control.
It only took us.
Big surprise. It's all about Kathy.
She told me to.
So,
It was my fault.
So we've got some gifts for you from the staff, some individual gifts, and we also have a few people who'd like to say something to you. And then we do have a final gift and a thank you. So with that, I'm going to kick it off and I'm going to hand it over to Crystal.
Look, there's a penguin on this.
And Dina. You ready to go? Okay, take it away.
Hi! There's surprises everywhere. We just show up. You guys hear me? Lum, one of our first IMBA graduates. Two Hotchkiss scholars. All right, so is this on? Yeah. Okay, just want to make sure. So a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. We all know that's John Maxwell's quote. And if I were to change it, I would say, also known as TAC. So as Kathy just mentioned, my name is Dina Ali, and I am one of the recent IMBA graduates. And through my experience at Lake Forest, I had an amazing adventure, all because of Kathy. When I took the leadership course, I was dying to meet Kathy because I had heard a lot about her from Crystal. So everybody knows Crystal. As we were going through the course, before we started the course, Crystal always talked about Kathy and her vision. And I was very excited when I had the opportunity to take the leadership course. It wasn't within 2 or 3 minutes of the first conversation that we started that I thought, wow, this is going to be more than just a once-a-week conversation that I'm going to remember. This is amazing. Kathy has been so inspirational to me. When we would have our conversations within class, it was almost like you were sitting right there in front of me. It never felt like there was a screen. It never felt like there was a phone. It was like you were by my side. There were times I would get off the phone, I would feel so empowered, so motivated, so encouraged with what I was doing, not only at my work but professionally, through my school and also my personal family life. I think those of you who know me know that I'm very passionate about dentistry because that's what I come from. And my second passion is LFGSM. And it really is because of Kathy, you and your leadership. So thank you so very much for everything you've done for me. And for all the people who don't know you, but see me as a better person now, all because of you. I think one thing, everyone here knows me, just in case anyone doesn't, my name is Crystal Cartwright, and I too was in Kathy's leadership course in the IMBA. Dina and I are like the IMBA twins because we went through the whole program together. We were the second group to graduate. And when I told her about Kathy's Carnegie Day, it was like I knew she was going to do whatever needed to be done to be here. She travels all the time, but we love you, Kathy. And I don't really get nervous in front of crowds, but speaking about Kathy, like my heart is beating so fast, and I'm trying not to cry because I love Kathy so much. Like there are not enough words to explain what Kathy has meant to me for the past 4 years. During my time at LGSM, first as an employee, and then also as a student. And so I was trying to think about what would be a way to describe Kathy, and I wrote something down, and I wrote that Kathy is the prototype of success, class, and grace for my generation of professional women. She is my example, and she's my inspiration. She doesn't know me. Because, okay, for one thing, I have to be honest. A few years ago, I lost my beloved Nana. She was everything to me. She was my best friend. And the first time I ever met Kathy, I don't know if she remembers, but the first thing she did when she came to the desk and introduced myself, she was just so exuberant. And every time that I would see her, no matter who she's talking to, no matter how busy she is, she always goes, "Crystal, how you doing?" Crystal, she'll stop in the middle of the conversation, she'll introduce me to who she's talking to, and that made me feel so welcome and so valued. And just to know that every day that I would see her, Kathy was going to speak to me and in some kind of way leave a really great impression on my life. And so when I was in the leadership course with Kathy, I was extra excited. I had been telling Dina all about the course. And I told Kathy when we met for our first 101, I want you to push me beyond my comfort zone. And if anyone knows Kathy, you really don't have to tell her that, but once you open the door, you better be ready for what you asked for. And I loved Kathy, like right away, Dina and I have been striving for the entire time we were in the program to become Hotchkiss Scholars. We knew we were going to go on a global practice and we knew that we wanted to be Hotchkiss Scholars. So I made a habit of telling each instructor that before each class started, so they would just know that, like, okay, I'm committed to this. Which meant also that I had to keep my grades up. So I told Kathy, this is really important to me, this is what I want to do. And Kathy was like, that's really good, but let's not focus on the grade, let's focus on what you're learning. And she taught me so much about leadership. She also told me that there is no special treatment just because you work at LGSM as a student. And I love that about her. And so, even though I strived for my A in her course, I got an A-. And I had to push a little bit harder for the next course, but I made my goal, and we both became Hotchkiss Scholars. And Kathy, we wanted to tell you thank you because you have contributed so much to helping us fulfill our dream.
When we graduated this past June, the way that Kathy was there and she came and talked to us, and she took pictures with my family, and she was just there to express all of this love and joy for us. Kathy, you mean the world to me. Like, I'm trying to fight back tears. And I know that even long after you're gone and I'm gone, we will stay in touch and we will have that connection. And I just hope you know that we're just two of many students who are your legacy. And we love you, and we couldn't be happier for you, but I am going to miss you so much. So we love you. We have great students. They don't know. I am so embarrassed. That takes a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh, no.
There's more. But wait.
Oh,
Line
no,
five, pick
no,
up.
girls.
All right, thank you, ladies.
Yes, it's not. I'll try to speak loudly enough to be heard. A couple weeks ago, I had the honor of representing the faculty when we made a presentation to Kathy. It was a complete surprise to her, and I was very pleased to be able to do that, especially the surprise part because Kathy knows about everything in this place. So we took her by surprise. A shock. I don't think a shock. So Kathy and I have a unique relationship. I think ever since I arrived here, she and I have thought about things exactly the same way. We laugh about that all the time. Sometimes we even complete each other's sentences. We've agreed about the faculty, about the need for a single and unified approach, the measurement of everything that we do, the need for and a definition of business impact, especially the definition part. We struggle with that. The need to get as close to our clients as we possibly could. The need to make our MBA program flexible and conforming to the needs of our business community, ensure everything that matters was agreed. There's only one area in which we disagree. See, both of us come from Wisconsin, but only one of us is a big fan of winter sport. Guess which one that is. So, Kathy, I just wrote this to sort of explain how we feel about you. Those of us who are not into winter the way you are, bear with me for a moment. Phones will ring, no one's listening, because outside, snow is glistening. She's looking transfixed, her feelings unmixed. Kathy's in her winter wonderland. Pull it out, all your Gore-Tex, because we live in the vortex. As busy as bees, while the rest of us freeze. Kathy's in her winter wonderland. Kathy looks just like a tiny snowman, waiting to take on a 10-mile hike. We'll say, aren't you winded? She'll say, no, man. I haven't changed the tires on my bike. Out of doors, everything's still as we deal with the wind chill. Our cars will not run, but she's having fun. Kathy's in her winter wonderland. Near the lake, the vehicles are frozen. Looks like they have built a shanty town. Watch for Kathy's snowshoes as she goes in. Is freezing not a reason to go down? EPS doesn't matter. CLS can go scatter. You don't ask her why, she's an Eskimo pie. Kathy's in her winter wonderland.
Oh, is he something else? Oh, what?
Diane Ruth and Chris Pearls from the registrar's office.
Responsible for those other balloons in
And many people probably don't know, but in 2002, there were several of us at Lake Forest Graduate School that did the Avon Breast Cancer Walk, and it was a 3-day, 60-mile walk. And as we were walking and training from January through June, we kept picking up more team members. And we finally got a team of about 48 people. And we raised $184,000. You have always made a big impact, and you still continue to make a big impact, and I'm sure you still will when we leave here. So I just want to say thank you.
Kathy, we've known you personally and professionally, and we just want to say thank you for everything, and it's not goodbye, because we look forward to more walks and more walking.
Aren't they the best? You haven't gathered. I love snow and penguins very much. It's been on YouTube. Always has.
Dana and Manish are next up. Dana and Manish working with Kathy in the RD, when Kathy headed up RDI.
I don't have much, everyone says some wonderful things, so, and I will give you my own personal later, but there's a couple things that people are forgetting. She does like snow, and she does like penguins, but there's something she does every morning that's really important, and that's her stop at Starbucks. So Manish thought that we should help you with that, to continue that
I
time.
love it.
And there's something else she does that not everybody knows, except for mostly just Jean and I in our little row upstairs, is that she steals lifesavers in the afternoon. She says, I only can have 2, and so we monitor her 2 every single time. So this is to continue that tradition as well.
Very briefly, I wanted to thank Kathy for everything. And I think one thing that you guys don't know is she has promised me she's going to reincarnate herself as an Indian. She loves everything Indian except for this.
But he gave me a sorry. I am a real sorry.
So I think about, if you can visualize this, she is going to reincarnate as an Indian, and this is going to be a white Caucasian.
We have another staff, Jean Keeter, excuse me, Jean. And Jean also worked with Kathy when she headed up RDI. So Kathy hired me about almost 4 years ago now. And prior to that hiring, I hadn't worked for 15 years. Not because I'm inept. Right? But because I was raising the next great motorsports engineer of the future, my son. And so I had a phone interview, and I came in and interviewed with Kathy in person. I also interviewed with Greg, wherever Greg is, in person, which was absolutely the most terrifying experience of my life. And so when Kathy called to say that she was offering me the position, you know, we talked briefly, and then I hung up the phone, and I thought, I think this lady might be crazy. What in the world is she thinking? Hiring someone who hasn't worked for 15 years. But I like to think that it kind of worked out. Because we've gone a lot of miles together.
You validated I really was crazy.
And the thing about Kathy that I love is that most of the time when you're called into her office and you start talking about something, Usually my reaction in the first 5 seconds was, you want to do what? But I think after a lot of those conversations about you want to do what, I think we probably accomplished an awful lot of that together. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for making that first crazy decision you made 4 years ago. So anyway, they say that the best, I don't know who said this, but they say it, that the best gifts are ones that the people who give it reflect your own personality, right? It means that they know and love you very well and that you're not strangers. So I hope that this is something that can verify that we know your personality very well. And we hope you can wear it on the treadmill perhaps, or when you're on your bike. Because this really is Kathy.
This is great.
Oh, jeez. It's the Energizer Bunny. Out of all the cartoon characters, that's the one I would pick. So,
You had a shower. Look at
it is. It is. So this one just underscores it a little further.
Yeah, it's the battery. It's the battery. We both said it. This is unbelievable.
Wow.
Oh, it is. Look at this. Oh, it is. Where did you ever buy it? This will keep me energized for sure.
So we all thank you, and ditto everything else everyone's out.
Oh.
Before I turn this over to Carrie for the next piece, I just wanted to thank Manish for getting the Starbucks card, because actually that Starbucks card is only for hot water. I don't know whether everyone knows this or not, but Kathy has very specific needs when it comes to a cup of coffee. And it's a whole lot of water and very little coffee, and she always needs to see the bottom of the cup. And it's just a real pleasure going into Starbucks to hear her order this. Like, look at it, do you want tea, do you want coffee, what is it? So, Carrie, take it away.
So Kath, I just wanted to say that we've been thinking a lot about what are some of the things you're going to be doing after you're finished working full-time here. And so we know you're going to be traveling. You're going to be going to where, the Milford Track?
New
So-
Zealand.
And can you tell folks what that is? Do you want to just talk about that for a second?
Anybody ever been to the Milford Track? Anyone? Oh, somebody. Yeah, Carol. Oh, yeah. What do you think, Carol? Beautiful place on the planet. Beautiful place on the planet. Supposed to be one of the most wonderful walks in the world. It's how 4-day, 5-day walk, depending on how you do it. So my sister and I are doing it, and we're just really charged. It's something that's always been on my bucket list.
So in order to get ready for the bucket list, if you could start the walk on the Milford Track, we've got a little something for you, because we know this won't be the only time that you'll be traveling.
Ah, cool. Look at this.
So it's a day pack that you can pack the water, and it's just the right size.
We thought of everything. So there's actually more than just a theme of penguins, snowflakes, and Kathy and Sons.
It's about the future. But then we started thinking, gee, you got to have some other things to put in that backpack, so let's talk about those for a second.
Oh, my God.
Well,
Larry.
you need a crown for the trail, first of all.
Oh, this is me. I love this. This is Now, how much more foolish could one look?
What you look good in that cap? Really? Okay, so if you reach in, and then we'll kind of narrate as we go through. Okay.
What is this?
Okay, so station.
Kathy, do you know what that means?
I hope it doesn't mean going in, no.
Okay. So Kathy and I have walked many miles in HR together. And for those of you who don't know, Kathy comes from a mental health background. And all she needs to ever say to me is, so-and-so is loosely wrapped. And we need to wrap them up again. So Kathy, please take the cling wrap with you. This is glad cling wrap. Take that with you in case you meet anybody on the trail who's loosely wrapped.
I think I'm loosely wrapped right now.
Okay. All right, so let's go, let's reach in for, oh, here. I've got something else.
Oh,
Annie
So,
Baker needs that.
doesn't everyone look at, do you think they could ever make penguin pigments?
Duct tape. Up in Wisconsin, we use duct tape for everything. It's, as they call it, West Virginia. Anybody here from West Virginia before I say this? It's called West Virginia chrome. But up north, we just use a lot of duct tape.
My rice cakes, my daily substitution rice.
That's her lunch with one thing of string cheese.
Oh, Red Labs, Malcolm, these are excellent.
Where's Malcolm? Yeah, so she's got one for each, 3 sides of her head. Yeah. And then Greg has something for you.
In case you don't know, I'm Greg. I'm terrifying. If only my children believe that. Okay, well, you can go ahead and open it up. I want to just explain what it means.
Thank you.
I know.
Oh, no, look at this. These things should be out of the market. These, oh, look at this, 5-hour egg. 3 of them.
So let me tell you a little bit about that. It's a sad fact of life that the inescapable passage of time affects all of us, Kathy. It causes us to gradually slow down. It makes us have to work harder to burn off every calorie we consume. It puts a hitch in our giddy-up. It makes it harder to awake with the same vim and vigor that we once did. Of course, we all want to imagine we can continue the lifestyle we once did, but that's not possible. Our gait becomes just a little slower, and it's hard to keep up with the more spirited and youthful in our group. In times like these, sometimes we need to look for something other than our once vibrant and boundless energy. And that's why God created energy drinks. Sure, I felt a little like I was buying pornography when I picked these off the shelf, and with a great deal of embarrassment brought them to the cashier. But that's why I took the effort to buy them, so that you didn't have to. Now when you go golfing or walking or any other activity that requires a little pep in your step, you will have a way to keep the group together. You may be wondering, Greg, I'm offended that you would think that I would need energy drinks to keep up with the others in my group. But you would be wrong. You're just not facing reality. The sad fact, Kathy, is that you are getting older, and that's why I had to buy you not just one energy drink, I bought you 3. Well, think about it. If you're getting older, that means that your friends are getting older also. And you need to take time to consider this reality. They're no longer the sprightly people they once were. And if they ever want to have a chance at keeping up with you, they're going to need some sort of a boost. I bought 3 of the drinks so that you can fill a foursome, you and 3 energy drinking friends. I imagine that even if you're walking and they're driving a cart, they might need at least one of these puppies. And maybe you'll even need to pour one of them in the gas tank to allow the carts to keep up with your pace. Even children at the prime of their boundless enthusiasm and height of physical fitness might need one of these things to go on a walk with you. Please be considerate and think of the people who accompany you. We may not always be capable of staying afoot with you. Keep these things handy and distribute them when you see us falling behind. We want to keep up with you, but as I said, when the rest of us age, we need some help to stay up with the likes of youthful pups like you.
So Kat, there's a lot more in this box for later, but we have guests here today that need to speak as well too. But there's one last gift from the staff. so that goes along with this thing, entire staff. Just rip it open.
Oh, Air One, my favorite store.
All right. So it's a gift card for more good gear. It's from all the staff here at Olive GSM. And before we go to the next part, if I could read a little something to you. It's from me to you. Oh, Kathy, this note cannot possibly express my gratitude for having worked for and with you these last 6 years. Your willingness to take a chance on me as I was returning to work made an immeasurable difference in my family's life. I've always thought of you when I hear the Gandhi quote, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." You are an example of leadership in all aspects of your life. Always thinking about what is best for others and the systems they serve. You act with clarity and compassion. I'm not saying goodbye because I know you and I will continue to stay connected. I cannot wait to hear about your next chapters. May the joy and anticipation of exploring new frontiers, real or imagined, follow you all the days ahead. Thank you. Okay, Dana has a couple of things to read to us from individuals who are not able to be here today but wanted to share their thoughts. So you have two, right? Okay. So the first one is from Susan Vesey. Susan was here at the school for quite a while, and you want me to read it? Okay. So this is from Susan Vesey. She worked in corporate learning and she worked closely with Kathy. So Kathy, I have a few stories that are part of the lore of corporate education that you inspired. The first one is about her kindness. When Kathy Carlin joined our team, the dilemma arose. How would we distinguish between the Kathys? Neither had ever gone by other forms of nicknames of Kathleen. To avoid an awkward conversation, Kathy Leck suggested we call her K-Leck, or Kleck. Well, Kleck never caught on. But it is how a leader demonstrates that her team's comfort is more important than her ego. When we were still over on the Lake Forest College campus, the first warm day of spring, Kathy declared a team meeting would be held in the neighborhood park. It might have been Howard's birthday or another team member's birthday. Hi, Howard. And Ellen. Hi, Ellen. Where was I here? It might have been Howard's birthday or another team member's birthday. For some reason, we had to have a candle, and Kathy borrowed one from Jim, the VP of Development. Let's be totally honest. Jim wasn't in his office, and we did intend to only borrow it. Lunch in the park that day felt as sweet as an unexpected fire alarm drill was when I was in grade school. We lit the candle and began to sing when a roaring wind came sweeping through the park, knocking over the candle and starting the picnic table on fire. We all scrambled away, leaving Howard, the Boy Scout leader, to put the fire out. Without a source of water nearby, the candle burned down to a waxy puddle and the picnic table was scorched. Then we packed into the car and went on a frantic search to find a replacement candle for Jim. We found one that seemed similar and put it in his office. Kathy wrote a sweet note apologizing for our actions, and later we found out that it was Jim's meditation candle. It had sentimental meaning to him. Whoops. Kathy was a remarkable leader to me. What I appreciate most was her collaboration with me in defining ROI for corporate education and giving me the opportunity and latitude I needed to enact it. When many leaders might have been less generous, Kathy was gracious in giving the opportunity for each of us to shine in our own way. I wish you well, Kathy, and I welcome opportunities to continue to collaborate with Susan Vesey. This is from Rick Circumer. Many of you may know Rick Circumer. He served on our board and continues to serve on the board. Dear Kathy, unfortunately, I will be out of town. Kathy is and always will be one of those unique people we are all fortunate to know in our lives. A person who can combine her rich acumen with enthusiasm.
while also engaging others to fully participate in the goal. I am confident she will redirect her energy in another noble purpose. Please wish her well for me, Rick Circumler. Okay, I have to consult the agenda. That's it.
Kathy will sing down. Okay, Antoinette.
Antoinette Gavin.
Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Antoinette Gavin. I first was connected with the school and met Kathy when Kathy and Bill were forming the Business Advisory Council, and I had just moved to the area. Kathy is the massive connector she is. I've been accused of being that. We quickly found 5 or 6 connections. We had everything from a Polish link to different presentations. But earlier, somebody used the word legacy when referring to Kathy, and I think how many of us go through our careers, our lives, and all we can do is hope that we impact a handful of people and we don't mess things up along the way. And we have a woman here who has left behind a personal and professional legacy. She's impacted me personally as a mentor, as a friend. I didn't know about the penguin thing, but as I heard about the penguin thing, I immediately thought of Mumbo. Does anyone know Mumbo from Happy Feet? Right? The little guy who just keeps going and can't stop the feet, and pretty soon he's connecting humans and global warming and all kinds of stuff. And that's the kind of power that our little Mumbo over here has. Because you saw even as she sat down, someone walked in and she said, "Oh, you have to meet so-and-so over there," right? She's a natural connector because she cares so much about the people. And Kathy sees people. She meets you and she looks and she grabs something inside and she says, I know what you need. And it may be talking to me, it may be a connection here, but she's always trying to look at how she can make the world a better place and leave us better for it. So with that, thank you, my friend, my mentor. What else can I say?
Bill Agnello?
It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Well, hi everybody, I'm Bill Agnello. I met this lady about 10 years ago when we were trying to visualize what the Business Advisory Council might be. As a matter of fact, it was Bruce Such and I who conceived this idea, and he quit. about a couple months later, he resigned and left the school. And Kathy got stuck, as she often has in her career here, solving problems. And that's her, right? You put her in any role, she's going to go all in and usually make good of it. So Kathy, they asked me to be brief, so I'm going to be brief. If we're lucky in our lives, you come across maybe a half a dozen people whose constancy of character, decency, energy shape who you are. You've done that for me. It's true. And we're lucky, aren't we, to have people like this in our lives who make you a better person? So I want to thank you for that, Kathy, and I know the school's going to deeply miss you.
Thank you, Bill. Malcolm? Ruh-roh, here comes the CFO.
Thank you. Kathy, just wonderful to have all the people in your life from years and years ago. It's terrific, yeah. So many faces. But I think Kathy joined the graduate school about 18 years ago. It's hard to believe that period of time has just flown by so quickly. And all the stories that you've heard so far today, they're all really true and really, the character of Kathy. Over the years, we've had some challenging times in the graduate school, and Kathy's been a special sounding board to me. I've often been able to go into Kathy's office and share some situations, and she's always had some just wonderful, wonderful advice for me. So, to me, that's my special thank you to you, Kathy. Got a couple of things. Can't leave you without a few mementos. Of course, everybody knows that Kathy loves snow, right? In fact, Kathy, many, many years ago, introduced me to skiing in Wisconsin. And ever since that, my sons and I have always enjoyed a good ski trip in Wisconsin. We've got all the snowflakes behind you on the glass wall here. So, Kathy, if you're ever without snow, you can just shake that up and some snow will return. Now, something you may not know is that when Kathy joined here 18 years ago, she was actually the head of HR, and she's probably had more titles in this school. 3 name badges. And she lived in Glencoe, and she used to commute to the school, which was at the old campus in Lake Forest. And during the first couple of weeks, Kathy picked up not 1, but 2 speeding tickets, right? And of course, we know that she hasn't really changed, has she? So what I have for you today, Kathy, is a stopwatch. And it's a big stopwatch, so you don't need your glasses to see it. And the nice thing about this stopwatch is that it only has 3 buttons. The first is stop, the second is clear, and the third is go. And 2 of those buttons are probably redundant, right? Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Carol Wald? Did you want to say something?
I have a couple things.
Okay, this is Carol Wald. Carol worked with Kathy in corporate learning.
Hi, everybody. As I was thinking, I really hadn't prepared anything, but I have 3 things to comment about Kathy that I think represents who Kathy is. The first was, when I first interviewed with the school, I was on my about 8th interview. And I said to Kathy, not knowing that she had such a sense of humor, I said, if I don't get this job, I'm going to have to go shopping tonight for another interview suit. And that's what she had a sense of humor about it, and I think that's when we initially connected. That's when I knew she'd fit right in. Because it was time to say, let's do this deal. Let's get this done. The second thing is that Kathy and I shared an adventure, and she gave us the opportunity to start an initiative in India. Very few people would have supported with the guts and the guts to go to India to do that initiative. Here we were, this little school in Lake Forest, Illinois, doing a program in India. How cool was that? I was chicken to go, but Kathy said, I can't wait to go to India, and off she went. It was just so cool. The third thing to represent that she's so client-oriented is that we had a potential client. It was Insight Beverages. Now, Insight Beverages was a maker of specialty coffees, and we went on a call, and as some of you heard, caffeine does not agree that much with Kathy, but this client served these heavy-duty caffeine drinks. So she thought they offered it to her, and she drank it. Wow, talk about energy. She got in the car, and she was like this. But anything for the client, customer-centered, and went for it with gusto. So it was a pleasure and honor to work with Kathy.
We also have the pleasure of welcoming Jean Britt back to the school. Jean's husband, Ray Britt, was president and CEO of the school, and Jean is here to say a few words.
Well, I'm here really not only as the widow of Ray Britt, but as one of Kathy's very early mentees in the 1970s at Lutheran General Hospital Alcoholism and Drug Addiction Treatment Center. I was a counselor, and Kathy did have a life before she came to Lake Forest. She was a nurse clinician, which meant she was a nurse and a counselor. And the treatment center at that time was the premier addiction treatment center in the country. And the owners in the 80s decided they would franchise that model of 28-day inpatient addiction treatment program and take it across the country. And they bought as many as 100 treatment facilities from California, Florida, Connecticut, and even Sweden. And Kathy became the director, the clinical director of that program. And one of her tasks as that job was to ensure the quality and the training and the supervision and the consistency and the best practices of all of those programs throughout the country. She brought people into the Mother House at Lutheran General, where at that point I became the director, and we trained the people across the country, and you can see that those skills of quality and supervision down to the very last, every training module had a theme, had to go with the mission, and all of that were skills that she had and developed in the 70s and 80s. So when my late husband became the president of Lake Forest Graduate School of Management in the 90s, at some point in time there was a position that was open. I can't even remember what it was, but I said, Kathy Leck, I know someone that could do that. Kathy Leck can do anything. So I will here take credit and Accenture for Kathy being here at Lake Forest Graduate School of Management, and we've been friends. Everything that you said about mentorship is going in place, so I thank you so much. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, Jean. Thanks for being here. John Pappas. We have John Pappas, many of you know John is on our board of directors. He's a distinguished faculty and a whole lot more.
Are you laughing at me? All right, so is there a better person anywhere than Kathy Leck? Is there? I know a lot of people. I don't think so. You know, Kathy, your unparalleled energy that everybody's been talking about, this positive spirit that you've got, this your passion for life, which permeates in everything you do, I guess are the most initial things that we all notice about you. But there's so much more to Kathy Leck than that. I'd like to just touch on a few things that have always struck me. Your goodness, your toughness, tough, and your intellect, which I'll comment on in a second. So Kathy's a good person. She's the kindest, nicest, most empathetic person I've ever seen. She will do anything for anybody to try to help them out. I think she's probably already been that way, certainly as she was giving of herself in her career in healthcare. She had to be that way, but it's come to our school, and I've seen her more often than not bend over backwards, give of herself to contribute to somebody else's success or somebody else's positive self-image. And I think, Kathy, that's why you connect so easily with everybody and why you've had such a great career, a successful career in leadership. I mean, you're a leader. It was interesting to hear Crystal talk about what you meant to her in her class, because you project that. Kathy is tough, however. Don't think for a second that sweet, lovable Kathy is a pushover. I have seen the tenacious side, the resilient side of Kathy Leck. I've seen her face adversity and knock it out and emerge victorious more often than not. Quite frankly, if she believes in something and is something she cares about, she just doesn't let go. And I truly believe that our IMBA might not have survived if it wasn't for Kathy Leck really taking its horns after an early tough start. And so the school owes a lot to Kathy for that. Kathy is really bright. There's not, when Kathy is in a room with a bunch of people, she never would put on an air as being one of the smartest people in the room, as we all know people who are like that, right? But in my experience over the last 15 or 16 years knowing Kathy, when I've been in a room with Kathy and others, that's usually the case. She's at the top of the list. And Kathy's mind is special. She's very quick, right?
Yep.
Very quick. She's unbelievably creative. And a decade before the whole concept of outcomes assessment became so popular in schools and education, Kathy Leck was pioneering something called ROLI, Return on Learning Investment. And it has paid off time and time again for Lake Forest Graduate School of Management. My affiliation with our school has been one of the true blessings of my life, and Kathy, our friendship has been an important part of that. So thank you for that. Thank you for everything you've done for our school. Thanks.
Thanks, John. We have another John with us today. We have John Vinich. John?
If I could tell a quick story. For years, I worked with corporate education, and I never really had the opportunity to work directly with Kathy. I worked with Carol, I worked with Howard, I worked with Susan, and the three of them had this one quality. They had me go home and say, we want you to design a program, we want you to make sure you tie a connection between what you're covering and business metrics for the customer. And I'd work on it, I'd come up with something that I thought was really great, I'd bring it to them. And they'd look at it and say, you know, Joe, we want you to push just a little bit harder, just to make sure you get that connection. I roll my eyes, I say, what do these people want out of me? And I do my best to do it. And usually in doing it, find one little gem that I hadn't thought of. Finally had the opportunity to work directly with Kathy in the IMBA program. She said to me once, John, I want you to go back and I want you to design a project and make sure in this project you can tie what you're doing to business metrics. I said, okay, I'll do it. I called people, I asked for advice, I looked up everything I could do, until I finally came up with something that I thought would knock her socks off. I brought it to her. I expected a hug, I expected anything but for her to look at me and say, John, I want you to push just a little bit. And I got where it all came from. So I said, Kathy, I know you're going to be traveling a lot, and I know you're going to be going on a lot of trips. And when you have your plans laid out, and when you think you know what you're doing, I want you to push just a little bit. You'll find that gem in where you go.
Thank you, John. Kate Colbert. Kate is a former staff member here in marketing. She's come back to say a few words.
Hi. And it is sort of like an alumni gathering, right? I just wanted to say like 3 words. What an amazing experience. A lot of you have had jobs where things have changed along the way, where they say, we're going to change your title, or we're going to change your responsibility, or suddenly responsible to oversee a bunch of people, or what have you. And I remember a day when I worked here and I was told, we're going to change your reporting structure a little bit. And I worked for truly an amazing boss at the time, Kurt Wang, who was the head of marketing at the time, and Kurt said, we want you to have a dotted line reporting up through Kathy as well. And you know, and I knew Kathy and I loved Kathy, but I still thought, oh, that just complicates things, right? Wow, what a fortuitous moment in my career that was, to be able to have 2 amazing mentors, and truly what I learned from Kathy that I've been able to apply since leaving here and since running my own company is that sometimes the unexpected conversation is the most important conversation you can have. I remember we would have meetings and we would have agendas, and we always nailed everything on the agenda. But then there was always one more thing we talked about that either pushed a little harder, incidentally, and got us to a really great innovative place, or that touched personally. And I am a different person for having worked with you. I run a more successful company from having learned from you. I will never ever forget the experience, and you better keep in touch.
We have one more person. Who shall it be? Is Sam Brilliant around?
No, he sent me a note.
He sent you a note. Okay, well, do you want to read the note? Okay, all right. We have one more gift for you. It's not in that box. It's in something else. So, Dana?
Kathy, as a part of the staff, and the gift that we've gotten is really about you. I think you're going to love it. It's in a pretty blue box. But thank you for leading us well, and listening to us well, and changing us well, and telling us how to be well. We love you and we miss you.
I love this box. Look at this! Is that just beautiful? Oh, can you see it? Oh my God! Look at that. Howard, look at it.
Hi, Howard.
Hello, oh my gosh, hello everybody. So, there's so many, hi Larry, welcome. So many great stories and things, but I don't know if y'all knew, a lot of you knew, that this wasn't going to be a school of management, but it was going to be a Lake Forest Graduates Zoo. And I think a lot of you know the tradition of the frog, and that whenever we got a contract, we would croak the frog, and just in case we weren't loud enough, a lot of times Kathy would run down the hall to make sure absolutely everyone heard that we're croaking the frog with a new contract. But it didn't stop at frogs. We worked with ECHO doing the leadership conference, and remember the gorilla and the flying buffaloes and everything else. Then we had monkeys, and we just had it was a veritable menagerie of animals that you brought to life here, Kathy. And I suppose the best animals are the ones for all of us, and the memories that you have, the joy that you gave us, the leadership that you extolled, and just the mentoring and friendship that I think anyone who's been associated with you has received. And so from Ellen and I and everyone else, we just want to wish you all the very best.
Okay, Kathy, now it's your turn.
I can't imagine you sitting here all this time. Oh my gosh, you can't imagine. This is such a wow. Bernie, look at you there. I mean, everyone. I'm just overwhelmed. Wow, you could not. There is not a person on this planet that could have a better send-off than I have had. Starting with the faculty reception and the shock of being called up there by Neil and Ellen, followed by the board meeting, followed by the team meeting, which brought those great snowflake balloons there, and look at all this, and followed by email and lunches, and I mean, I have just never, ever, it's just, no one could be treated better, no one. So I thank you for that, and I was getting my hair colored the other night, and there's a young man that washes the hair, and he tells me all his dating habits and everything, a little more than I want to know while he's washing my hair. You know, he's in there. You really, the more you talk, the more you keep massaging. So I keep the conversation going. So finally it goes to me. And he says, well, are you good? No one believes I'm retiring, right? Because I've postponed it so many times, so they say, yeah, forget it. You know. So when are you really going to do it? So I said, actually, this week. This is my last week in the office. And he said, well, are you excited? A lot of people ask me, well, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited also to be a faculty member and do projects. That's a commercial, too. I'm excited about, but you're excited about, yeah? Well, are you ambivalent? Oh yeah, I'm really ambivalent too. I don't feel tired, and I hate that word retirement. So it's like I want to work differently. Yeah, I said, okay. And then he kept, I kept trying to get him to keep talking, keep talking about it. And then I finally realized, he asked me, well, what do you really feel? And it wasn't until he asked me it that way that I just feel so much of what I feel in this moment. Just this deep, deep sense of a blanket of gratitude in my toes. I mean, if you know what it's like to feel what you provide, I mean, it's just an overwhelming feeling of gratitude. Gratitude for the work that we've done together. Gratitude for the past, the current, and the future, and what it can be. It's just incredible. And I think of the accomplishments that you just tribute me today beyond belief. I will always cherish that. But it's those accomplishments, not the big ones, not the launching of the stuff and all that we did, but the daily accomplishments that you just bring it all to mind. Every time a corporate client is satisfied and asks for more, or every time a student is, persuaded to stay in the program, or a business advisory member, a board member feels that they got their answers to what they're looking for at faculty. I am so, it's those daily accomplishments that are all about us. So you tribute me, but really it's about, hopefully you feel the acknowledgement of the kind of work we do. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have warmed me beyond compare. Just seeing you and seeing the snowflakes and the personalization and all that you've brought to my life and my professional life. I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. So, not goodbye.
Before we, I'm going to go into HR mode here. Life will be good. Okay, before we break, I invite all of you to stick around if you'd like to visit with Kathy. I'd like to thank those of you who have come back, our former staff, our faculty. We have Erica Nelson in the back, Ellen Myers, Howard Prager, Kim Colbert, Bob Thomas from our BCC, Norm Goldring, a former board member, and continues to serve on our marketing committee, and Bernie Layden on our business community council, Bill Agnello, Antoinette, Ron Moore. Thank you all for being here. Bill Colburn, board member, appreciate you being here. I want to thank our elves who have put on our penguin and snowflake operation and have done it in the usual LFGSM fashion. I want to thank Ann and Crystal, Pat, Appling, Bart, Chavez, Carol, Dan, and Dana.
No, I want to thank all of you, because do you know what it takes, Dana, to pull this group together?
But we do it well. We do it well. So feel free to stick around, celebrate with Kathy. Please eat, drink, be merry, and we wish you all happy holidays. Thank you.
Scanning the audience. Hello, shall I get you on film? Oh, you already are on film. More interesting. It's kind of hard to do this when you're waking up. Sorry, Kathy.
Thank you.